From Iowa to D.C., we're the first in the nation, kicking off the 2024 election. You're watching Iowa's News Now, the 2024 Iowa caucuses.
And after months of campaigning, it is caucus night in Iowa. Team coverage tonight here on Iowa's News Now at 6. Skylar Talal, Kaylee Whitlatch, Cedric Bolton III out in the field across the state as we see whether or not people will brave sub-zero temperatures to support their favorite candidates. We will start our coverage and looking at those hopefully typical numbers for caucus turnout. We'll see what they turn out to be with Skylar Talal. She is live in Des Moines right now, our State House reporter covering everything, starting our team coverage, getting a look at the numbers as we sit just less than an hour out now, Skylar, from the start of caucusing.
Mitch, after months of laying down the groundwork and trying to sway caucus goers, Republicans may soon see their hard work pay off or not. With Donald Trump dominating the polls, many are expecting to see a historic night for the former president. But as we all know, anything can happen, and that grassroots efforts can be crucial for a caucus night win.
We get over 12%, I'm going to be incredibly happy because we've done something that no one's ever done before. The polls are great. The enthusiasm is great. The enthusiasm for my father. I think the more they persecute him and prosecute him, the more the American people see through the sham that is Washington, D.C. and the corrupt government, frankly, that we're running against.
And for months, the biggest question's been which candidate will snag the second place slot and by how much. The latest Iowa poll has Nikki Haley slightly surpassing Ron DeSantis for the first time, with 20% support to his 16%.
We can do better. And it all starts in Iowa. All eyes are on you. And I know it's cold, but it has been made very clear that nobody's going to be deterred from going to the caucuses.
And I've seen some of that shift on the campaign trail, with more Iowans showing interest in Haley after her debate performances. Some even calling her calmer demeanor a breath of fresh air. But DeSantis has had a pretty strong ground game in Iowa, really focusing on those precinct captains and visiting all 99 counties. Now that's considered a full Grassley and something Vivek Ramaswamy's tackled twice. Despite polling in the single digits, Ramaswamy's been hitting Iowa hard, still traveling the state in wintry conditions, even as other candidates canceled their events. Now the weather's really thrown another curveball for those campaigns, and we could see caucus goers decide to stay home tonight instead of dealing with those below zero temps, which is just another reason that ground game is so crucial for these candidates here. Now, right now, the candidates are wrapping up their last stop of the day, and they're about to head to their watch parties. Now, I'm here at Donald Trump's, and coming up on 9 and 10, I'll be talking with his supporters as we start seeing those results come in. Live in Des Moines, Skylar Talal, Iowa's News Now.
Skylar, thank you. A new Des Moines Register poll out today shows more than half of likely Republican caucus goers in the state say they either don't care about the Make America Great Again movement or they're against it entirely. Of course, MAGA has been Trump's slogan since the 2016 campaign. More than a third of people polled there say they're neutral to MAGA. About 1 in 6 say they are against it. Close to 40% say they support it, though, and including 18% who say they are ultra MAGA. More team coverage now of the caucuses with Iowa's News Now reporter Cedric Bolton III live tonight in Iowa City with what we're expecting there in Johnson County this evening.
Yeah, I'm at the Iowa Memorial Union precinct, and it's still kind of barren here. A few people showed up despite the freezing temperatures. One caucus goer tells me that he decided to come here to voice his opinion and vote for the person he believes will make the right choice and help in this country. The Des Moines Register voting polls show that Donald Trump still kind of leads over the all other candidates, with Nikki Haley placing in second and Ron DeSantis in third. Now, with the caucus being less than an hour away, I'll be here to keep track of things and update you as we go along. Live in Iowa City, Cedric Bolton III, Iowa's News Now.
Cedric, thank you. Team coverage continues in Cedar Rapids. Iowa's News Now reporter Kaylee Whitlatch is live at Cedar Rapids Washington High School, looking ahead to the evening there at that precinct.
Yes, Mitch, George Washington High School in Cedar Rapids is hosting 2 of 51 precincts of the Republican Party in Cedar Rapids. And here, not a whole lot happening here. Volunteers are setting up for the evening, and here in about an hour, it will be a little bit more lively as the caucus events begins. In order to even get here tonight, people are sludging through whatever's left of the snowfall from this past week and of course, the frigid temperatures. But of course, they're here to make their voice heard and their opinion count in this presidential race. We'll have more on the caucus event coming up on Iowa's News Now. Live in Cedar Rapids, Kaylee Whitlatch, Iowa's News Now.
And of course, this all happens on a weather-worn day. We've made it through the snow and the winds for the most part, Kaysen, but these temperatures still. I mean, the wind chills, again, trying to be as optimistic as we can. Some of these wind chills right now were the actual air temperatures overnight, or at least in those ballparks. This is the most brutal part in a week that's given us a lot of brutal weather.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Mitch. Yeah, a lot of folks waking up this morning with temperatures that were into the negative teens, even negative 20s, just the air temperature out there. But the wind chills, one of the biggest effects here. And you can see if you are heading out this evening to go caucusing, this is what you're going to be dealing with. Wind chills right now of negative 27 degrees here in Cedar Rapids, feeling like negative 16 in Iowa City, and feeling like negative 20 up in Waterloo right now. Of course, we do have that wind chill warning for most folks, along with a wind chill advisory up in northeast Iowa. These both go until noon on Tuesday. Wind chills between negative 20 and negative 40 certainly possible as we go throughout this evening. Things are pretty quiet, at least right now, on radar and satellite. A little bit of cloud cover out there. Roads, though, still some issues, especially near kind of Johnson County. They're partially to completely covered. Make sure you are taking it slow if you're heading out on those roadways tonight. The temperatures, the big problem as we go forward, though. We'll talk about maybe when we can see a little bit of relief coming up here in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Kaysen. If you've got a flight scheduled out of the Eastern Iowa airport, keep an eye on things tonight. Almost 2,000 flights in the U.S. were canceled today, according to Flight Aware. A lot of them delayed tonight at CID as well, even a cancellation. Almost 1,600 nationwide were canceled yesterday. 3,700 others have been delayed today. 9,000 delays on Sunday. Chicago O'Hare, Dallas Fort Worth International, and Denver International leading the way in delays and cancellations. And between 2 winter storms and bitter cold could take crews the rest of the week to get roads back to normal around the state. DOT, of course, working nonstop over the weekend to get streets and roads as clear as possible. Boy, it seems like this were all over the place. A lot of semis off the roads. Around 800 plows were out during the peak of the storm over the weekend, running into crashes and getting involved in some of them themselves with snowplow equipment. That slowed things down as well. And now things have definitely gotten better in the last 24 hours. Again, no more snow falling, but work far from finished.
Getting those roads that were impassable open, getting those roads that have drifts, significant drifting, getting those pushed back so that they're not right up on the edge of the roadway, winging back those drifts so we can create some more storage space for the snow.
Now, DOT officials say even if things in a road or any path looks green on their map or it shows winter seasonal conditions, still proceed with a lot of caution. You could still have some slick patches there, some spots of ice. The DOT just wants patience, make sure everybody can slow down, take their time. They're also reminding people to have an emergency kit in your car, particularly with how cold it is right now.
I'm Scott Booman in a very chilly Iowa. Could be the coldest caucus in history tonight. How will weather play a role, and why are the candidates telling voters it's way too important to stay at home?
Another round of heavy snow led to blizzard conditions, and Iowa's News Now Weather First went into action.
This is just the beginning.
Early warning.
Round 3, another strong storm system is going to be moving into the area here.
Expert tracking, live video.
Really starting to see a lot more of that blowing snow.
And life-saving information.
Make sure that your furnace pipes are clear of any snow.
Before, during, and after the storm on all your screens, always choose Weather First on Iowa's News Now. A new day dawns in Iowa, and there's a new way to start your day.
Welcome to a brand new feel.
Watch Iowa's News Now this morning with Netta Shama and Rebecca Kopelman.
The headlines you need to know.
And your Weather First forecast so you can plan.
Weekday mornings from 5 to 7 a.m. on CBS 2 and all your screens. Always choose Iowa's News Now this morning.
Welcome to a brand new feeling.
When winter driving is at its worst, the Iowa's News Now Weather First Road Warrior is at its best.
Those road conditions starting to deteriorate.
Real-time road report.
When we got into that really heavy band of snow there.
Live video.
It became snow covered and pretty slick pretty quick.
And the Weather First team of meteorologists.
We don't just tell you about the risks.
We'll take you where it's at its worst.
So ride with us. You can see it live before you drive.
The Weather First Road Warrior, only on Iowa's News Now.
Well, emergency crews around the state have to get creative right now to protect people and help them in this cold and snow. Weather First meteorologist Garrett Hyde live in studio, showing us who officials have to turn to when conditions get so bad even they can't get to a scene.
Yeah, you kind of have to get a little creative, but the whole idea of a quiet winter was surely quickly replaced by far more snow than many of us know what to do with, leading to, of course, dangerous travel conditions across the state of Iowa and roadways. You can kind of take a look at this. The Iowa DOT, from what they were doing while the snow was falling on and trying to stay on top of those worsening road conditions, that 1-2 punch of snowstorms certainly reverberated across the state, especially that secondary round. In some areas, conditions quickly became a little too much for road crews and first responders to keep up with snow removal and rescue efforts. And rather than give up, Johnson County Emergency Management Agency called upon a local snowmobile club to help rescue stranded drivers instead.
I think we had 4 or 5 different events that we responded to this weekend, and that's sort of how that came about. A couple of members got calls from Johnson County Emergency Services and had stranded motorists, and we put some resources together, try and go out and help where we could. And I'm very proud of Iowans and the way we take care of each other. And this weekend was no exception. It was nice to see everybody come together and make sure that people got home.
And a few members of the Snow Drifters Club have been called upon before to help stranded drivers and make sure they're okay, running supplies out to them if needed, and in some cases, giving people rides back to safety. Now, Chuck did mention one incident this past weekend where some folks in a stranded vehicle didn't have an emergency kit or any warm enough clothing to be taken back on a sled. So, of course, they had to run out supplies to them while they waited for plows to return the following morning so they could get unstuck. And that's, of course, an important reminder to make sure you are dressed appropriately before you head out the door, and do make sure you have that winter emergency kit ready for heading out. In the studio, I'm meteorologist Garrett Hyde with Iowa's News Now.
Yeah, and you'll certainly want to have that emergency kit handy for tonight. We got temperatures that are likely going to be falling around -15 degrees. The frigid temperatures, though, not going away quite yet. We'll talk about this long period of Arctic air and maybe when a little bit of relief will start to move into the area. It's all coming up in your full Weather First forecast after the break.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A weekend of treacherous conditions from the historically high tide in Maine, where this tavern was overtaken by the Kennebec River on Saturday, to Rhode Island, and these waves crashing into the streets of Narragansett Town Beach. Meanwhile, cirrus clouds, a cabin, and the water's reflection make for a fine morning photo in Florence, South Carolina.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Our leaders make decisions that affect our everyday lives. That's why Iowa's News Now has a reporter in Des Moines every day, holding our leaders accountable.
I'm right outside the House chamber where it took lawmakers nearly 4 hours to debate.
Fighting for answers.
Lawmakers will be able to appropriate that money to help with Iowa's opioid crisis.
Giving you balanced coverage.
But opponents worry it'll just put kids in harm's way.
Trust State House reporter Skylar Talal on Iowa's News Now. Iowa's News Now, your trusted news team. Always ready when news breaks.
And it's still an active scene here at the Chalet Apartments.
And when severe weather rolls in.
So much snow that has fallen, the crews are trying to keep up.
Always tackling the issues that matter.
I have new information on how one woman's story is sparking new legislation.
Always covering the stories that celebrate our Iowa pride. On the air and on the go. Always choose Iowa's News Now. Vehicles stranded after a major winter storm.
Now that it's safe out, better visibility, we are now going to go out and recover that unit.
Iowa's News Now hops in the cab of a tow truck to give you a unique perspective of a tow truck driver the day after.
What he's doing now is getting the drive shaft disassembled and unhooked, so when we tow this, it does not cause any damage.
Right now at iowasnewsnow.com, see the recovery in action. All screens, all the time, always choose Iowa's News Now.
Just about 45 minutes out from the start of the 2024 Iowa caucuses, Iowa's News Now anchor Nick Weig continues our team coverage, heading up our caucus coverage here at Broadcast Park. He's live in studio with a look ahead to the evening.
Yeah, Mitch, safe to say that everybody is putting their money on Donald Trump to come out on top tonight here in Iowa, but that is not a rubber stamp to the nomination for the party. Now, what I'm going to be looking out for tonight is the level of support for the two that actually come in second and third. Right now, we believe that to be Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. Now, here's why that's important. The next contest, 8 days away in New Hampshire, is an open primary. Now, there will be more independents voting in that because it's an open primary. That means Nikki Haley has a real chance to come in first there. Now, if she outperforms here in Iowa tonight, that could be a huge step towards evening the playing field a bit with the former president. Now, if she does not perform well and Ron DeSantis instead comes in second, that could lead many Republicans to reconsider him as a potential alternative to Trump instead of Haley. Now, here's why all of this matters. The latest Iowa poll from the Des Moines Register found nearly a quarter of all those planning to caucus tonight say they do not believe Donald Trump can beat Joe Biden because of his criminal charges and other legal troubles. 43% of those planning to vote for Nikki Haley tonight say they will vote for Joe Biden if Donald Trump is the nominee. Now, that's an indicator of the headwinds the former president still faces in a general election and why Haley is making the case she is the only candidate that can beat Biden in November. So a lot to break down for you tonight. We're going to be watching the county by county numbers and the trends as they all start coming in within the next couple of hours. Nick Weig, Iowa's News Now.
Nick, thank you. And a new ABC News poll tonight shows only a third of Americans approve of Biden's work in Washington. Tonight, of course, going to be the first look at who people in Iowa think could be the best challenger for the White House in November. Iowa's News Now chief political correspondent Scott Thuman shows us what will be the coldest caucus on record.
After all the buildup, all the anticipation, it is finally caucus day here in Iowa. The big questions: will Donald Trump be able to deliver a powerful blow against his opponents, or will voters decide perhaps it's time to look at other options? And of course, will Mother Nature complicate this caucus process? In frigid Iowa, where the feels-like temperature Monday plummeted to almost 30 below, there will be two big tests in the 2024 caucuses.
It's nasty out there.
One of Donald Trump's true strength, and the other a test of voters' resolve.
You can't sit home. If you're sick as a dog, you say, darling, I gotta make it. Even if you vote and then pass away, it's worth it. Look at the arms of that guy.
As for Trump, can his commanding lead really hold up? Not since Bob Dole in 1988, who won by 12 points, has any Republican scored a double-digit victory over their rivals. Polls say Trump's is almost 30. Meanwhile, Nikki Haley, slipping by Ron DeSantis for second place, says the momentum is all hers.
To me, the only numbers that matter are the ones that we're going up and everybody else went down.
As for the weather,
and if you're going out to caucus, this is going to be still some dangerous cold out there. Temperatures are going to stay below zero.
We could do a sitcom on this. This is taking a Florida family and dumping them in the middle of a blizzard in January.
So cold and roads so tricky, some of the campaigns are reportedly helping arrange rides for voters in 4x4s just to make sure they get to caucus sites, aware a poor showing could also freeze their chances in this race.
I'd rather speak the truth and lose this election than to win by playing some fake game of political snakes and ladders.
Back to former President Trump, he has often boasted that his supporters will do almost anything for him. But with overall voter enthusiasm lacking a bit, and of course, this difficult weather, we'll find out just how true that is. In Des Moines, Iowa, I'm Scott Thuman.
Yeah, and we are dealing, of course, with those incredibly brutal temperatures outside right now. And we'll talk more about that maybe when we can see a little bit of relief. But we'll talk about the observed snowfall that we saw from last week. Of course, two major storms pushing through the area. A lot of places here in eastern Iowa picking up between 12 and 17 inches, if not more, up near 18 to 23 inches, almost 2 feet of snow there in just a couple of days. We're not the only ones that, of course, felt the impacts. You could see impacts impacts felt all the way in Kansas as well as Nebraska, stretching through the state of Iowa and up into Wisconsin as well as Michigan. A lot of heavy snow falling here across the Midwest, a ton of what we usually see actually compared to our season in total. Of course, now the focus is the dangerously cold temperatures, wind chills -20 to -40 degrees here over the next couple of days. That's could lead to frostbite in just a couple of minutes, but a bit of a break from the snow. We're not going to add a whole lot on top of this. Some light snow chances as we go into Thursday and into Thursday night as well, but nothing like we saw last week. But those bitter wind chills, that is going to be sort of the key here going forward. You can see as we go throughout tonight, wind chills between -30 and -40 degrees. By tomorrow afternoon, we'll still likely see wind chills there in the -20 degree range before things start to finally kind of trend in at least a little bit better of a direction. So with a chance maybe tomorrow to get back above 0 degrees, it's certainly a chance, but I think a lot of us still going to be sitting into the negatives there. We will likely do it on Wednesday, where temperatures will be back into those lower teens. A little bit of a heat wave, I guess you can call it, around here, but more cold air going to be filtering in. It looks like those temperatures will be steadily going back down by Friday and into the weekend there. We'll see those temperatures back into the single digits. Here's radar and satellite right now. Pretty quiet, and we even got some clear skies, especially across the northeastern Iowa there. Much of us still dealing with, of course, some cloud cover out there that will continue to clear tonight. So we'll just see a few passing clouds during that time. Plenty of sunshine throughout Tuesday, even though that's not really going to help out into the temperature department at all. But we'll be quiet, at least in the short term here. No added precipitation, no snowfall to really talk about until the chance to maybe see a few light snow showers there Thursday and then into Thursday night. But some good news if you've been looking for a little bit warmer weather. Well, it looks like we won't have to go too far out to kind of look at that. We are looking at possibly seeing above normal temperatures here in the region as we head towards early next week. That's likely when we'll see those temperatures start to bump up 30s and possibly into the 40s a bit. But overall, it's going to stay brutally cold around here, at least in the short term. Those temperatures will begin to drop off once again towards the end of this week. Temperatures falling back well below 0 there at night. But you can see some relief in that forecast by Sunday, back up near 20 degrees and possibly into the 30s by Monday of next week.
This is Iowa's News Now Sports with Curtis Fader.
Monday in Iowa in the sports world should be named Player of the Week Monday, because it feels like every week a Hawkeye or a Cyclone's getting recognized for excellent play by their conference, and this week's no different. Let's start with the Iowa men's basketball's Owen Freeman, winning Big Ten Freshman of the Week for the 6th time this season. His second weekly award in a row. Freeman scored a career-high 22 points along with 10 rebounds against Nebraska on Friday for his third double-double of the season, tying Luka Garza for the most by an Iowa freshman in program history. The Hawkeye men are currently taking on Nebraska on the road. Scores currently a 10-point lead for Iowa. Owen Freeman also on another double-double watch. He's got 9 and 7 as of the 10-minute mark. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark wins the Big Ten Player of the Week for the 7th time this season, the 4th week in a row, and also a Big Ten record 25th time in her career. Last week, Clark registered her 4th triple-double of the season with a cool 26, 10, and 10 against Purdue. Followed that performance up with a dominant 30-point, 11-assist showing on just 21 shots against 14th-ranked Indiana on prime time. Iowa takes the court again tomorrow when the Hawkeyes host Wisconsin at 8 p.m. Over in the Big 12, we've heard Audie Crooks win some Freshman of the Week honors, but today the Phenom becomes the first Iowa State freshman to ever win the Big 12 Player of the Week award. Crooks gets the honor by scoring 22 points and 11 rebounds against 24th-ranked West Virginia and 23 points along with the go-ahead basket to take down 4th-ranked Baylor. Iowa State beat 2 AP Top 25 teams in the same week for the first time since the 2009-2010 season, with the Hawkeyes being ranked this week for the first time all year, coming in at number 24. Iowa State's back in action on the road against Texas Tech on Wednesday. And the Iowa men's wrestling team has a big top 10 matchup going down tonight in Iowa City. Hawkeyes will try to get their 3rd top 10 win with a victory tonight against Minnesota. Keep an eye out to see what's brewing at 285. We might be seeing Ben Keeter taking the mat for the first time as he's assimilating to the program after wrapping up football a couple weeks ago. First match gets underway at 7 p.m.
Well, of course, Iowa not the only state dealing with winter storms and wind chills. More than half the country has freezing temps right now, expected to hit record levels in a lot of spots. Laura Geary has more on where those extreme conditions are headed.
A nationwide deep freeze might be putting it mildly. considering forecasters predict 80% of the population could experience sub-zero temperatures over the next 7 days, and more than 250 daily cold records could fall through Tuesday.
We're trying to figure out how much damage our house got and just get the pipes winterized and whatnot.
A weekend storm across parts of New England has some residents racing the clock to shore up damage ahead of more freezing temperatures, while severe wind chill alerts stretch border to border across the central and eastern U.S., with winter storm and blizzard warnings peppering states in the West, Gulf region, Mid-Atlantic, and around parts of the Great Lakes. In Buffalo, the Bills have asked some fans to brave the bone-chilling conditions to make a little cold hard cash, shoveling out Highmark Stadium ahead of Monday's playoff game.
Well, $20 an hour, that's what I'm determined for, and so be it, I'll stay all night.
Snow mixed with sleet and ice causing potentially lethal conditions further south in states like Louisiana and Arkansas. A man was killed Sunday about 60 miles northeast of Little Rock when state police say his truck left a snowy highway and hit a tree. Snow flurries and ice accumulation are expected to remain a concern along parts of the Gulf into the southeast through Monday, with the system eventually moving into the northeast by Tuesday, bringing snowfall once again to major cities and airport hubs along with it. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
And a recap of that forecast again. Brutal cold temperatures tonight with wind chills -30 to -40 degrees. That wind chill warning will continue until Tuesday at noon. The temperatures, though, you can see are still going to be brutally cold. Will actually start to cool down once again towards the end of the week. Some relief in sight, though. Early next week, though, should bring temperatures back close to 30 degrees.
We do have some late breaking sports news. Kind of assumed, but now it's official.
Eric All officially declaring for the NFL draft. Still have Luke Lachey returning, but that's one less tight end for the Iowa offense to work with next year.
Wish we would have had a full season, because when he was healthy, he was, again, leading receiver, even though missing half the season. So all the best to Eric. Great to have him in Iowa City as he was there. Plenty of caucus coverage, and I suppose we'll keep talking about the weather as well. Coming up on Iowa's News Now at 9 and 10, we'll have some Hawkeye and Gopher highlights for you as well.